Ambrose, hail from the parish of Senton, come to Kingston, 1972, as a young little teenager girl. Things were really good them time there when I just come at town. Things good. I could have pay my rent, buy me little food and but no, it worse.
So 2020 has completely changed the way how we think about global supply chains. We saw 80% in air cargo capacity vanish overnight. We saw factories around the world shut down, and we saw disruption in supplying customers. Global supply chains were not built for something like COVID. Global supply chains were built for a very predictable environment with high volume, maximum efficiency. And then came COVID. There was an issue with visibility, with data, understanding where the issues were in the supply chain. We helped companies actually set up control towers in a very short amount of time so that they could use their own data, that they could use publicly available data and understand what they were dealing with, understand and model scenarios for themselves and actually decide what was the right course of action. Now the economy is in rebound. We see demand going up, but we have an issue with supply. Raw material is not available. We have shortages in aluminum, in steel, in timber, in microchips, and that is slowing down manufacturing. We also have issues with logistics. Shipping containers that travel between the manufacturing sites and the markets, that cycle is out of balance. We had the issue in the Suez Canal.
Greater collaboration is needed if poverty is to be eradicated worldwide.
Jamaicans are poorer than they were 2 years ago, with 10% living in extreme poverty.
Go to Coronation Market to buy, where Coronation is cheap one time when they carry $200 go there, go buy, you can't come back with 2 big bags of something. You go in a supermarket with $300 or $400, you can carry home 2 big bags of grocery. Now that's not there again.
The things went up so high that when you go to the supermarket, there's no money for you to spend.
Yam go up to $180 a pound, and that is Coronation Market. Tomato, $500 a pound. Now we think things will be a little better. We are looking for things now shine. Couple years now, about 4 or 5 years, we are looking for things shine up, and we are going all right. And said things are going to go down. Things go for the worse. Little sugar, water, little piece of bread for go with bed. That can't work. All the pit them, we try to get them out of malnutrition. We work hard to get them, the little pit them when they born, to get them out of malnutrition. And
will we see the end of global supply chains? And the answer is no, quite the opposite. Global supply chains are a complex system, and we will have to take even more factors into the equation in the future. Regulatory requirements are changing. We see a strong requirement for decarbonization. We have a need for better resilience in the supply chain and for better risk management. So in a recent survey, over 2/3 of supply chain executives said that they would think completely differently about supply chains. They would not think about supply chains anymore as a cost center, as a back office function, but they would actually think about supply chains as a value-adding component for them to become more competitive, to differentiate in the marketplace. There is 2 things that really stand out. One is that supply chains will be much more personalized, that there is a lot more customer centricity in the design, but also we have technology that we can deploy.
Families along the St. Mary, St. Catherine border who are living in squalor.
Last year, like November, the rainfall and it all like tear down.
Make something more accommodating, but the
funds is kind of low.
Russia and Ukraine are raise oil. Them are raise flour. Them are raise chicken. Them are raise everything now. We want better in this country right now.
The little work and the little pay, it can't suffice nothing.
Jamaican economist and professor Dr. Andre Horton has been a strong advocate for livable wages in Jamaica.
The minimum wage, when you think about it, it is compensation to motivate those of us with the least amount of skills, education, experience to do work, you know. So it is normally paid to people in low-skill jobs like a man who does security work or a housekeeper or a gardener or a man who does a particular packet bags at the supermarket, these type of jobs. When you look at this compensation and you compare it to other countries around the Caribbean, it is way below their minimum wage, which is the minimum that you need to survive. So when you talk about minimum wage, you want minimum wage to be juxtaposed against cost of living.
Minister of Labour Carl Samuda announced that effective April 1st, 2022, Jamaica's minimum wage would move from 7,000 Jamaican dollars per 40-hour work week to 9,000 Jamaican dollars. 9,000 Jamaican dollars is equivalent to an American making $54 for a 40-hour work week. The announcement came only a few days after the Bank of Jamaica warned to expect price increase due to inflation. Since the increase, Jamaicans have seen a rise in gas and food prices.
We want better living right now.
The year 2020 saw some of the biggest drops in global production and global trade since World War II. But compared to the global financial crisis no more than a decade ago, this time it was different. Services, for example, saw trade collapse more than twice as much as trade in goods. And even within services, there were big differences. Digitally delivered services did quite well, whereas obviously travel and tourism declined very much. Similarly, in goods trade, there was a decline in goods trade for more durable goods like aircrafts and cars and steel, but also growth in some categories, especially those related to home nesting. Think about electronics, think about your fitness gear at home, as well as food that increased trade. This varied picture of goods and services being in demand or less in demand has meant a lot for the shifts in the geographical distribution of trade.
It's the end of America. I've been saying to people, silver is still 50% its all-time high. Of $50 is 25 bucks. But the question is, if a can of tuna hits 25 bucks, what does silver go to? And that's what I'm concerned about. But it gets worse. It just gets worse. Well, there's a guy, Jordan Peterson, he's a Canadian, and he talks about, he says, you think tough men are dangerous, and Trump was a tough man. But he says, watch what weak men will do. And this guy Biden is the worst I have ever seen. Man is senile. And today what's happening is Russia and China are now ganging up on the US. It's really a dangerous world right now. It's getting worse. I was a bit optimistic. But now we have the weakest, most corrupt government. You know, what happened to Hunter Biden's laptop? If the FBI loses his laptop, there's something really sick inside this country. And so that's kind of what I gauge all my macroeconomics on is, where is Hunter Biden's laptop? I mean, how can the FBI lose it? We have no financial education in our schools. That's what I'm concerned about. My biggest concern with Russia and China are ganging up on us. As we all know, America produces nothing anymore. We produce bubbles, we just blow air bubbles. So we now have this bubble in real estate and stocks and bonds. And when Biden took the Keystone Pipeline, XL Pipeline off, just wiped us out here. Inflation goes up and the average American doesn't have $1,000. 40% of Americans don't have $1,000. And so when inflation goes up, we're going to wipe out 50% of the US population. And that is when revolution starts. If and when, and it will come down, the stock market crashes, the 401k, the old guys like me are toast. We don't have a retirement. Our pensions are bust. So what we have with three things is our treasury is out of control. We've lost it. Our entitlements out of control. And now we're at war in the Defense Department. So our debt to GDP is out. So every time, I wish I could have some good news. So that's why I did the tuna can to a silver eagle comparison. We're in trouble. As we all know, there's insiders to every deal. I don't have any stocks. I don't invest in the stock market, but they're my companies on the stock market. So the best deals are always done early. So when people say, do you invest in Bitcoin? Yes, when it was $6,000. We've got to know what's real today. And that's why I'm saying we have the weak leadership in world history. America's in serious trouble. So I want to find out what's real. And China and Russia are now ganging up on us. We went to Venezuela and Iran to buy oil from them. And this guy Biden cuts off our oil supply. Everybody talks about intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? I can eat tuna. That's valuable. And if you're starving, I'd rather have a can of tuna. I like to make fun of things because otherwise people can't hear you. They get too serious about this. So I'm just saying that we're in serious trouble and it's getting worse. That's what terrifies me. If they go to the government crypto, the government Bitcoin or whatever they call it, it's Big Brother at that point. They're going to be knowing everything you're doing. For years, I've been buying those green canisters of silver coins because the government can't trace them. I can use them for money. So I can go anywhere in the world with a silver coin and spend it. I can go with a gold coin and spend it without being traced. Not that I'm hiding anything. I'm just sick and tired of this government. I don't trust them. As I said, if Hunter Biden's laptop disappears in FBI custody, we have a serious internal problem here. And so that's why I tongue-in-cheek tweeted that I'd rather have a can of tuna right now than a silver coin, just to get ridiculous. Because I can eat tuna. I cannot eat that silver coin. I can spend it. Always remember, America has stopped producing